Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a fresher just stepping into the giant and, let's be honest, sometimes incredibly intimidating ecosystem of SAP, you're probably hearing acronyms thrown around like confetti. One of the absolute biggest ones you'll hear is AMS, which stands for Application Management Services. So, what exactly happens when things go totally wrong in a live SAP environment? Like, who actually fixes it? Well, today, we're going to break down the exact corporate hierarchy of an AMS project. We're demystifying how a seemingly simple user complaint navigates through a highly structured maze to finally get a solution. Okay, so here is our game plan for today, and it actually mirrors the structured, process-driven world of SAP Support itself. We're going to start with the support tiers, climbing up from the L1 frontline help desk all the way to the L3 expert developers. Then we'll look at a real-life escalation flow, and we'll wrap up with some crucial tips to help you ace your next interview. All right, Section 1. Welcome to AMS support tiers. To really get this, we have to understand the universe we're actually operating in. The AMS support, or the tiered escalation model, is basically a superstructured system in an SAP project where handling issues is strictly divided into levels. I want you to think of this model literally like an escalator inside a massive corporate skyscraper. As a user's problem gets more and more complicated, it escalates up the stairs to a higher level of expertise. You wouldn't send the company's CEO down to fix a jammed printer on the second floor, right? Well, in that exact same way, SAP projects route problems so that the right people, with the exact right skills, are solving the right problems at exactly the right time. Moving on to Section 2, L1, the frontline help desk. Let's meet the folks standing right at the bottom of that escalator. The L1 team is your absolute first line of defense. When a user is sitting at their desk, literally pulling their hair out because they can't get into the system, L1 is who they're calling. L1 handles all those basic issues. We're talking login problems, access requests, minor little errors. They're the ones constantly monitoring the ticketing queues in tools like ServiceNow. Now, what's super crucial for a fresher to grasp here is that L1 relies heavily on SOPs, standard operating procedures. They aren't writing any new code, they're basically looking at a massive instruction manual. So if a user's SAP GUI login fails, and by the way, that's just their main system window, or if they desperately need a password reset, L1 just follows a checklist for a quick fix. They just need basic SAP knowledge to keep the lights on. So the flow goes exactly like this. Step 1 is the user issue. Step 2 is L1 jumping in to save the day. But wait, what happens if the SOP manual just doesn't have the answer? What if the printer isn't just jammed, but the entire network configuration is totally scrambled? Well, when L1 hits a wall, their primary goal instantly shifts from quick resolution to correct routing. They hand the baton off to Step 3, pushing that ticket right up to the next tier. Which brings us to Section 3, L2, the functional and technical core. As we escalate up, deeper system knowledge becomes absolutely critical. Welcome to the engine room of AMS support. Armed with really strong functional or technical knowledge, like knowing the absolute ins and outs of sales and distribution, materials management, finance, or even some basic ABAP programming, L2's main goal is to tackle those heavy business-impacting issues. They analyze complex configuration problems and debug minor ABAP glitches. They spend a ton of time in the back-end configuration hub, which is known as SPRO, dealing directly with master data. Think about a pricing error in sales and distribution. That means a salesperson is literally trying to make a sale, but the system refuses to calculate the price. That is a massive blocker for the business. Or imagine an IDOC stuck in error. An IDOC is basically a digital envelope carrying critical data between systems. If it gets stuck, a transaction freezes. L2 dives deep to unfreeze it. But the escalator doesn't stop there. L1 passed it to L2, but if L2 is totally stumped by something crazy complex, maybe it's a severe bug buried deep within custom code that basic debugging just won't fix, we escalate once more to Step 3, L3 support. You'll even notice a Step 4 here, which is escalating directly to SAP themselves if the core software is fundamentally broken. But for our internal company escalator, L3 is the penthouse.
Section 4, L3, the expert development team. This is the realm of the senior consultants and elite developers.
When a ticket lands on the L3 desk, you know things have gotten incredibly serious. This requires deep technical expertise in modern SAP tech, like HANA databases or Fiori web apps. L3's mission isn't just about applying a quick Band-Aid from an SOP manual. No, It's about providing a permanent resolution and a complete system improvement. They handle the complex ABAP debugging, writing brand new code fixes, and creating major system enhancements. They're doing performance tuning so the whole system runs faster. We're talking about analyzing complex ABAP dumps, which is basically when the system completely crashes and spits out an error log, or untangling massive SOAP or OData integration failures between completely different software platforms. This perfectly spells out the clear, undeniable boundaries between the tiers. Look at how the skill level literally jumps from basic to strong to expert. And the progression in the primary goal scales from a quick fix at L1 to resolving business-impacting issues at L2, all the way up to permanent fixes at L3. It's a perfectly tuned machine that makes absolutely sure everyone knows exactly what they are responsible for.
All right, Section 5, Real Scenario, the escalation flow. Let's actually bring this all together and follow the hero's journey of a single support ticket. Picture this. You're sitting at your desk on a random Tuesday morning, sipping your coffee. Suddenly, a critical integration failure hits. A massive SOAP service, the one that connects your entire SAP system to an external logistics provider, completely breaks down. Nothing is shipping out. Panic is setting in fast. So how does our tiered AMS system actually handle this?
Okay, 9 a.m., Phase 1. The ticket starts as a totally panicked complaint at L1. A user raises a ticket basically screaming, "SOAP service not working." L1 checks their standard procedures, quickly realizes this involves highly complex system integration, and immediately routes it up. In Phase 2, the ticket hits L2. They investigate functionally, they log into SAP Manager, check the logical ports, review the configuration settings. Everything looks totally fine, so they realize the issue is buried deeper in the actual code or the data payload itself. The escalator moves up again. Finally, Phase 3. The ticket lands directly on your desk at L3. You deep dive into the proxy class using specialized transaction codes like SRT_util and SRT_moni. You analyze the exact XML payload being sent, find a hidden mapping error in the ABAP code, and write a permanent fix. Boom! Crisis averted, all thanks to the tiered escalation flow. Section 6. Acing your next interview. Now that you truly understand the mechanics of this, let's talk about how you use this knowledge as a fresher to actually land the job. If a hiring manager ever asks you to define AMS support, I want you to memorize this exact summary. L1 handles basic issues, L2 handles functional and configuration issues, and L3 handles complex technical issues including development and root cause fixes. Seriously, this concise, incredibly accurate summary is your golden ticket. It instantly shows them you understand the entire architecture of an enterprise project, not just some tiny piece of code you learned in a boot camp somewhere. But here's the real secret. Regurgitating definitions might get you a passing grade, but applying it to a workflow is what makes you undeniably stand out. Always back up your definition with that SOAP service story we just walked through. Show them you understand exactly how a ticket travels from L1 to L3. Taking that narrative approach proves you don't just know the definitions on paper, you understand the day-to-day reality of the job. So I'm going to leave you with this final, incredibly important thought. Where do you actually see yourself on this AMS escalator? Because whether you're aiming to start at L1 to get your foot in the door, or you're already shooting for L3 development, mastering this ecosystem is your very first step to a massive career in enterprise software. Look at your current skills. Are you ready to start climbing?